Well, to size up the chances of both candidates, I'm now joined by former senior advisor to President Biden and close friend of Biden, Moe Vela, and the chief director of communications for America First Policy Institute and former strategic communications director for the Trump-Pence 2020 campaign, Marc Lotter. Gentlemen, great to have you both this evening as we look ahead to this debate. No better minds to talk to then about communications strategy, how these two might be advisable heading in. So let's start there by preparation. There's been quite a lot of chat about this, about how Harris might be preparing to face Trump and vice versa. Marc, I'll come to you first if you don't mind, because there's a lot of analysis that Trump doesn't actually prepare much for these debates. He kind of shoots from the hip. Is that true?
You know, listen, well, no, I think it's fair to say that their contrasting styles are quite dramatic. And I think the American electorate and frankly, the world that we'll be watching tonight will see two very different styles, Rosanna. And I think we'll get two very different visions for how this country will be led and how our democracy will thrive and survive moving forward. So I look to see contrast, different styles. So no, I don't think he doesn't prepare. Let's put it that way. If he didn't prepare, I would find it foolish.
Well, let's ask somebody who actually worked on the Trump-Pence campaign. Marc, what about Trump's preparation style? Is it just that he has so much confidence, he thinks he can do it, or does he actually, is he amenable to advice?
Well, generally speaking, he meets with his policy team, he meets with his policy advisors. But look, Donald Trump is out there every day talking to the media, answering their questions, even unfair media, which obviously Kamala Harris is too afraid to do. He's out there holding town halls. He's out there talking to the people. He's road testing the themes that he wants to hit on. But the one benefit that he has going into this debate is that people remember the success America had under Donald Trump. Things were cheaper, the border was secure, the world was safer, and because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, none of that is true today, and Kamala Harris doesn't even have an answer to how she's going to fix the problems that she created in the first place.
Moe, I'm going to let you respond to that because I'll be whenever I do speak to Republican strategists, Republican communications people, I get a very clear line of approach. They say this is where Harris is failing, this is where Donald Trump succeeded. I mean, we just heard it there from Marc. Is that surely is a bit of a strategy for success in debating?
Well, listen, it's also absolutely rich to think that Mr. Lotter forgot to mention the more than 1 million Americans that died under their watch, thanks to the misleading of Mr. Trump under COVID, the economy that Mr. Trump left to President Biden, how quickly Mr. Lotter left that out, disastrous, thanks to a lack of leadership and ineptitude. So look, we can go on about who's at fault for what, but what's really going to happen tonight and what has been happening is Mr. Trump has never gotten above 47% in our electorate. So let's start with that, number one. Number two, I think you're going to hear tonight, I've never heard Mr. Trump talk about a vision for the future. I don't know what Mr. Lotter is referencing. Ms. Harris at least is talking about how she wants to move our country forward. Mr. Trump's still stuck being racist and misogynistic and transphobic and divisive and hateful. If that's what you want and you want to vote for a convicted felon, knock yourself out.
This guy's a clown.
Well, let's give Marc a chance to respond to that then. Marc, go on. Marc, go on. A clown?
No, very easily. I mean, come on. This is a joke, obviously. You know, inflation was 1.4%. Gasoline cost $2.39 a gallon the day that Joe Biden took office. Even Barack Obama's former top economic advisor told them not to do the American Rescue Plan, where Kamala Harris cast the tie-breaking vote and caused sky-high inflation. The first 100 days, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden took 100 executive actions to undo the border security that was brought by Donald Trump. Donald Trump is talking about bringing back America to the America First policies that worked and actually keep moving forward. And we don't need Venezuelan and Chinese price controls to do it.
Go on, Moe.
Sir, you can call me names, but I'm not going to stoop to that low, trashy level. But here's are the facts. Inflation is down. and gas prices are below $3. I know you don't like the facts and the truth. Border crossings
still $1 more
down
than it was when you took
3%.
office.
Let's talk about facts and the truth. Stop lying to the people. Stop lying.
I'm not lying. You don't like it.
Look, I'm beginning
Sir, I just told you the truth.
I'm beginning to think I know what the ABC moderator is going to feel like tonight, trying to hear both sides as you guys are going at it. Look, it is good to hear both of your
one side
sides.
calls the other side names, Rosanna. Let's just be clear.
Well, there is that, Mo, which is the sort of the going low strategy. And previously Democrats, and it's sort of the same with progressives and liberals worldwide, say they're not going to go low to go high. They're not going to stoop that way. But is that something that should be in Kamala Harris's arsenal, really, if Trump does that?
I don't think she needs to go low. Again, I repeat the facts. Mr. Trump has never received more than 47% of the vote in this country. That is not enough to win. And I would just keep going on where she's headed with telling our American people how she will lead, that she will lead with compassion and grace and intelligence and integrity. You have a prosecutor versus a convicted felon. This is a no-brainer. Anybody who's okay with voting for a convicted felon, they need to answer to their God and to their own conscience. That's their thing. But don't think we're going to forget who you voted for either.
So there is a way to sort of go low to go high if you do it in a delicate way, potentially. I mean, Marc, just listening to you there talking about the lack of vision and the accusations that Harris has no policy platform. I'm hearing that a lot. Mo alleging there that Trump really has no future vision. What I am hearing a lot is that the US, this whole sort of strategy in politics of trashing America doesn't go down very well with the voters, with the electorate, quite understandably. Do you think it's fair to say that the Trump campaign strategy has been trashing America at the moment because they want to use that as a point of difference against the Biden administration?
No, I think what they want to do is reflect reality. And here's the reality is that people are struggling because they can't afford gas and groceries due to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They worry about the 12 million illegal immigrants that are unvetted that have been allowed into our country by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And none of those things have to be true. We do not have to have that going forward. And so you can get back to the Trump policies that had low prices, low energy prices, America's energy dominance, a secure border, and enemies who actually knew that we had a leader who meant business and not leadership where we have seen war break out in the Middle East, war rage again in Europe, and America pretty much just saying, well, you do you.
Mo, is that fair?
Absolutely not. And listen, your viewers are too smart to fall for that kind of ridiculous stuff. We've had enough of this here in America. We've had enough of the lies, the mistruths. Listen, the fact of the matter is that one of the two candidates, Ms. Harris, is representative, in my opinion, of what the values and principles are of this nation. Let me remind Mr. Lotter and your viewers around the world, Rosanna, America has been and it remains great. We don't need to make her great again the way Mr. Lotter and his colleagues want to do. We are great. We love this country. I love America. I'm proud to be an American. I'm sorry Mr. Lotter is not. And his Fega MAGA.
How dare you accuse me of not being proud to be an American?
Sir, if you were proud to be an American, you would not get on a television performance like this and be denouncing everything about our country and how great she is.
I'm not denouncing everything about our country. I'm talking about a better future for our country.
Well, the better future would be in the hands of Ms. Harris. That is very obvious.
She's not the future. She's the present, and it's a mess.
It's in your pharisaical mind, it may be a mess, but it's not a mess out here among real Americans, Mr. Lotter. You're just making drama. I should
go out there and talk to them about the groceries they can't afford. People who are choosing groceries or being able to pay their utility bills.
Inflation is under control. We have avoided
it's 20%
the recession that
higher.
Anticipated that we inherited from your guy. We inherited
20% higher than when you took office, sir.
From your guy.
No, gentlemen.
And the blood of 1 million Americans on your man's hands, not to mention he's a convicted felon.
More died under Biden than died under Trump.
We can do a million
died
people
under
died
Biden
under
and
your
Biden
guy.
died under Trump.
A million people died under your guy, and you know that. Stop misleading
More
the
people
audience.
died under Joe Biden than Donald Trump.
A million people
How many
died
times do I
under
have to
your
say
guy
it?
because he acted like it was nothing. He played it down because he didn't want to get damaged politically, and you know that's true. We haven't even gotten to the insurrectionist aspect of your guy.
Maybe we'll get to that, Mo. A few things to point out, though. I mean, this is an indictment, some would say, of the kind of the two-party democratic system where we see the cycling over, and you just see this kind of vitriol time and time again with the change of administration. It is possibly reflective of the state of public debate as well at the moment, and of course the debate that we're going to get coming up this evening. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
If you were advising them, Marc, I will come to you first. How would you be advising Trump right now to approach Harris? She's going to come in ready for this. She's got young. Some say she's got a sense of humor. She's got that prosecutorial background. What would you be saying to Trump?
Well, the one thing I would tell him is remind the American people that it's not a new way forward. It is the current way forward. She is the representation of 4 more years of the failed Joe Biden policies that created the inflation, created the energy crisis, created the wide open border. People could afford gas and groceries when Donald Trump was in office, and the border was more secure. She cannot have it both ways. She is the vice president of the Biden-Harris administration, and she owns their record of failure. And just keep reminding people over and over again, they know the truth.
So it's about focusing on the opponent rather than focusing on what you've got to offer. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, no, people understand, and that's why all the polls show that people trust Donald Trump more to deal with the economy,
Lord.
to deal with foreign relations, to deal with immigration. On every major issue that's on the minds of the American people, the polls consistently show the American people trust and support Donald Trump and his policies. So all you have to do is keep reminding them of it and reminding them that Kamala Harris is the reason why we are in the mess we're in to begin with.
Marc, coming to you then, because let's be honest here, Trump is...
Marc or Mo?
To you, Mo, rather. Sorry, apologies. Let's talk about Donald Trump comes in prepared to these debates. I mean, prepared or not, he enjoys the spotlight. He's a champion debater, whether or not you like his tactics or his approach. So if you were advising Kamala this evening in Pennsylvania, what would you be saying to do in order to try and unseat him?
Oh, I absolutely would be advising her to look as soon as he's done each time, because he lies. That's all he does is lie. And these folks just mislead and they make up stuff. So you just look over and do a one-liner real quickly and go, there you go again, Donald. You know, lying's a way of life for you, Donald. And then look in the camera and keep doing what she's doing, which is to tell the people in specific ways how you're going to address higher grocery prices and how we're going to bring them down by banning price gouging. What she's going to do to launch and empower small business startups, because we all know that's the backbone of the United States and our economy, and so on and so forth. One-liner, acknowledging the ridiculousness and senselessness of this man, how petty and trashy he is, get back to the camera, talk policy, talk specifics, talk about the future. That's what I would advise her to do.
Bish, bash, bosh, as we say in the UK. There's some straightforward advice for Harris. Look, Marc, coming to you, let's talk about some of the sensitive points that Harris could indeed lob at Trump this evening. One of this being a couple of defectors, essentially, from the Republican Party. We've had the Cheneys, Liz Cheney, her father, of course, the former Vice President Dick Cheney, saying they wouldn't back Trump. They're influential Republicans. And then this evening, we've learned that, or rather today, Scaramucci and Olivia Troy are going to be surrogates in the Democrat campaign. So they're kind of crossing that Rubicon across. If Harris sort of lobs that at Trump, how is he likely to respond?
He's going to laugh it off for the joke that it is. I mean, come on, Dick Cheney, just a few years ago, was being accused of being a war criminal by the liberals, and now suddenly they love him. And as opposed to Anthony Scaramucci, I mean, the guy didn't even last 11 days in the White House before he got fired, so I get it. He's bitter. And you want, you know, the Cheneys? Well, I've got Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I mean, people make up their minds. We have a shift going on right now in American politics. The Democrat Party has abandoned being the party of working men and women. They're the party of the elites. They're the party of the anti-Israel Semites, and they're the party of left-wing radicals. And so while we get more and more working class Americans, more Black Americans, more Hispanic Americans into the Republican Party with the America First agenda, just keep reminding them over and over again, the people know that they are better off with Donald Trump, and that's why he continues to be leading in all of the polls.
There you go, Mo. Party of the working man. What do you say to that?
Oh, you know what? You just saw me break out in laughter. They are so anti-union and so anti-working man and woman in this country. It's not. I mean, it's a joke. I can't even believe this gentleman has the audacity to get on a television performance and even say something like that. It's so ridiculous. But listen, only one of us on this performance or going against one another here has served in the White House, and I've served twice. I understand the role of
that would be two of us. I did too, sir.
Oh,
you better research.
I worked for two vice presidents. I apologize, Mr. Lotter. I wasn't aware that you had worked in the White House. I genuinely apologize for that. I applaud your service. My only point was that I worked for two vice presidents and I know the role of the vice president. And I'm sure tonight, I hope she reminds the American people that when you are the vice president, you have a boss. Their name is president. And the final decisions on everything are in their hands, not yours. So that's number one. Number two, Rosanna, I just think, again, you can see even between Mr. Lotter and myself, they go low. They are constantly on the attack. They have their little 8 talking points. They're the same ones over and over. It's the same old tired playbook, like Miss Harris says. If it's not her race, it's her gender. If it's not her intelligence level, it's her immigration platform. If it's not this, it's that. But not one time have they broken 47% in the electorate of the United States, because what they can't seem to grasp is that the majority of Americans, and by the way, Mr. Lotter, I am gay and I am Hispanic, and I promise you both of my communities will be majority supportive of Ms. Harris over your candidate. I promise you that. So you want to talk about Hispanics? You're talking to one. I've been leading in our community for 30 years. You want to debate about my culture and my community? Let's go at it. Bring it on. We're going to kick your butt in the Hispanic community, I promise you.
We'll have to reserve that debate for another time because we're just shortly running out of time. But let's just wrap things up by asking you, I'll come to you, Marc, what does success look like to you from tonight's debate?
I think just keep going back to the reality of the situation today, reminding people about how well things were going beforehand and saying that we can do this again. This is really what it's about. James Carville, Democrat, famously said it's about the economy, stupid. And there is a reason why 2/3 of the American people think our country is headed on the wrong track. It's because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and the only way to change it is to kick them both out of the White House.
Very clear. Mo, what you
let's
class as
again,
success.
let's stick to the truth, truth and facts.
Truth and
they
facts.
Can't stand them. I love them. We have the best economy in the world. You can use any criteria or standard to judge it, and we have the best economy in the world. Are some prices still too high? Of course. Do they need to come down? Of course. She has a plan to do something about that. Inflation is under control. We avoided a recession thanks to Biden and Harris, and Mr. Lotter and his folks don't like it. But they also forget the truth and the facts. They left us in a mess when they left office. A mess. If he wants to debate that, let's talk about data and facts. So I suggest success tonight for Ms. Harris is simply demonstrating to the American people that she is the absolute right person at the right time with the right experience, the right temperament, and certainly no criminal nefarious behavior in her past, nor in her future, the way her opponent is a convicted felon.
Moderator calling time here, which we hope that the moderator this evening will do as well to keep the balance. Look, gentlemen, this has been more entertaining than it should have been. I consider this debate closed on the US election debate, and we'll let you get on with it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.